Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel Laura Talks MS. I hope you guys are keeping well. Today I want to talk about my treatment that I had with Lemtrada 11 years ago, and I want to give a little bit of a background about how I got onto the treatment, what the treatment was like, what side effects I experienced with the treatment, and what potential side effects can be experienced on this treatment as well. So I was diagnosed with MS in 2008. And I'd had 2 relapses in a very short space of time. I then relocated to Wales for my job, and I experienced a 3rd relapse very quickly after moving, and this relapse was more severe and left my mobility very weakened. I saw the University Hospital of Wales at that point in time for my relapse, and shortly after they contacted me because they were looking for people to go on to this CAMS trial, which was Campath, but we now know this as Lemtrada as its brand name. So I assessed the risks and I weighed up, how my MS was at the time. I felt very bad. They asked me if I wanted to go on the trial and I said yes. So the rest, as they say, is history, but I don't want it to be history because actually I want to share this story with everybody to let them know what Campath alemtuzumab is like as a treatment, because it's helped me so much. I do just want to let you know that 11 years ago I had this treatment, and the protocol now has probably changed somewhat, because when I had the treatment back in 2009, this treatment had not been licensed at all. So the treatment was still undergoing trials. I was in the trial for this treatment, and so potentially there could be a couple of things that may be slightly different. I have done a little bit of research to see, although it looks like the way the treatment is administered is still pretty much the same. If there are any slight amendments, I have tried to include any of these in my video today. So for the video, and because everybody knows the brand name now as Lemtrada, I'm going to refer to the treatment as Lemtrada because that's what it's known as. And I'm sorry if I slip up and say Campath, but that's just because that's what I knew it as for such a long time, for 11 years. So that's what I'll refer to it as to keep it easy. So for round 1, your Lemtrada is administered over 5 consecutive days, and then you have a break for a year, and then your second dose of Lemtrada is then administered over 3 consecutive days. So let's get on to the actual treatment. So day 1, I turned up early in the morning and we had our bloods done and we had our urine tests done. And for women, the urine tests are really important because you're not allowed to get pregnant whilst you're on Campath. Then we had our catheter fitted, and the catheter stayed in my arm for 5 days. But I did read that I think that you can have the choice of whether you have the catheter out every time that you have treatment, but if it were me, I would prefer to just leave the catheter in because it's quite painful having the catheter taken out and put back in again. But again, I think that's your choice. So before your Campath treatment starts, you will be given steroids, and the steroids are also given through the IV line. The steroid treatment lasts around about an hour, and you are also, on top of that treatment, given antihistamines, and that's to help with the rash that you may or may not have with the Campath. And you are also given some paracetamols to help with the headache that you may get with the Campath as well. So once the steroids are finished, you'll have a flush through the catheter, and then you will start your Lemtrada treatment. The Lemtrada treatment takes about 4 hours to administer, and then you wait around about 2 hours after the Lemtrada treatment to make sure that there are no adverse effects or reactions to any of the treatments that you've had. During that time, you are monitored really, really closely. I would say that there is somebody coming to check on you at least every half an hour, just to monitor that everything's okay and that everything should be as it is and that there are no problems occurring during treatment. During the treatment, you're probably wondering, can I get up? Can I wander around? I've got this catheter linked to a bag. Yes, you can get up and you can walk around. In fact, I would probably encourage it. If you need to get up to go to the toilet, you can do, because the bag is actually attached to a metal frame with wheels on it, so you can wheel it around and you're mobile all throughout the treatment, so that's not an issue either. I was really lucky because I was going through the treatment with one other girl, Rhiannon, who I became very friendly with, and to be honest, you know, we shared the journey together, and I'm not really sure how I did it without her. She is an amazing girl and we're still friends to this day. I know that it sounds like quite a simple treatment and there doesn't really seem like a lot to it, but that's generally because it is. I think that day 1 of the treatment is probably the time where I felt the worst, and I didn't really want to be doing anything. I didn't want to be reading. I didn't really want to be talking. That was when my reaction to the treatment happened for me, and that's where I saw the most side effects. So talking about side effects, that's what I'm going to go on to now. So for side effects of the steroids, so you can have things like headaches, you can feel sick, it can give you stomach upsets, it can give you a headache. And the side effects that I experienced from the steroids was that I had a very bad metallic taste in my mouth, which nobody really warns you about, and you can't get rid of it even if you have food. So I always tell people now, if you're going through the treatment, take something to suck on, like a mint or something like that. And I did have an upset stomach from the steroids for about probably a day or so, and that came on after about day 2. And the other thing that I found with the steroids after about day 3, day 4, is that I couldn't sleep very well, but you are given medication to help with that, so sleep aids in the form of tablet. So that did help me and that resolved the problem. Side effects with the Campath can be headaches, nausea, feeling sick, swollen face, rash, hives. There are quite a few that are actually linked to the Campath treatment. The ones that I experienced were having a rash and I had a headache. The rash I didn't experience that much, but I did still have it on my skin. I mostly had it around my chest area and a tiny bit on the top of my legs. But my friend Rhiannon had it a lot worse than me, and it just goes to show that everybody is different and their bodies react differently to the treatment. The headache, however, was probably the most excruciating headache I've ever experienced in my life, and I would explain that as a migraine times about a million. It was actually awful, and we were given paracetamol to dampen that down, and that did actually pass, and then we were fine. Another thing that people have said that they felt on the antihistamine is that they felt quite drowsy. I didn't experience that, so I'm not sure which antihistamine that we took, but I didn't have those feelings, but I just thought that I should mention it for the video. One thing that I have read up about now, if you're going to have Lemtrada treatment, is about the herpes zoster virus. So I do believe that if you're going to have Lemtrada treatment, that you have to have the immunisation for that. So I think that's something important. Maybe read up about this beforehand, or obviously ask your neurologist or MS care team about that. So a couple of things that you have to be really mindful about once you've had the treatment is things like certain foods. So you have to actually go onto something called a listeria diet, but I'm going to post a different video about this and I'll explain what I mean with the listeria diet. And then you have to be really mindful of staying away from people who have coughs, colds, flus, chicken pox, anything like that, because you have a really lowered immune system, and you just need to kind of be more aware of that because they can be really harmful to you. I know it can be really worrying, and I know that there's lots of thought processes around this treatment, but actually it's quite a simple treatment to have. You know, you do feel fatigued and everybody is different with the way that they have it. No two people are going to be the same. But for me, it worked, and I really, really hope that whoever has this treatment or whoever goes on to have this treatment, that it really, really works for them and that they have as much luck as I've had on it. Because I just wish everybody the same success. I hope that everything that I've explained in this video just gives you a little bit more of an insight to what it was like. I'm somebody who took a chance and trialed something that wasn't even licensed. Nobody even knew what this thing was going to be doing, and actually Lemtrada now is branded. At least it's out there, it's licensed, so that's something to kind of be more aware of and consider when you might be considering this as an option for treatment. Anyway guys, as always, please take care of yourself and look after yourself and keep positive, and I will see you soon.